Welcome to the Hustle and Hughes podcast, you guys. My name is Ifnan Idris, and I am joined by D'Anthony, otherwise known as the Dad Vlog.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Welcome to the podcast. Super excited to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
So far, so good.
Yes.
Long week, a lot of stuff happening. Last week was even longer. Rachel and I have been doing a lot of stuff. We have a book coming out.
Rachel is your wife?
Rachel is my wife. Yes, I probably should have said that. And usually when we talk like on the vlogs and stuff, I say, "Hey, this is my first wife, Rachel."
You trying to die?
No, but it's a fact. It's true. Like when you think about it, she is my first wife.
I guess so.
She is. I mean, there's nothing factually incorrect about what I said.
Does she like when you say that?
No, which is why I keep saying it.
I was like, am I overreacting? Because if my husband said it, we would fight. So I feel like I have to. And I met Rachel first, so I feel like my loyalty, no offense, is to her. Even though, we cool.
You know what? The audience usually gravitates towards Rachel anyways. I don't know. I mean, she is pretty,
She's amazing.
She is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So usually when I post our bickering back and forth or our conversations, I get very little love. And it's usually everybody siding with Rachel. For the weirdest stuff, it's like, okay, this clearly doesn't make sense. I'll give you one instance real fast, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Taj, when he was younger, Rachel took her wedding ring off, sat it on the floor to put some lotion on. I'm like, Rachel, maybe you shouldn't do that. Taj takes the wedding ring, puts it in his mouth. He's about to swallow it. I go in there and I grab the ring. It's like right here.
Oh my gosh.
I go in there and I grab the ring out of my mouth. I'm like, Rachel, what the heck? And I went on the social and I was like, yo, can you believe Rachel didn't do what I said? They was like, well, you should have been watching. They said, well, you should. I'm like, bro, how do I lose that one?
Yeah.
Like, how is that the one that I lose? You feel me? So
No, that makes sense.
they side with Rachel, but it's okay. I'll take it.
Yeah. It's good that they support her. You don't need it. She needs it.
I don't need it.
Yeah.
She needs it,
Okay.
I guess. So I'm okay with that.
You're cool with it.
I am.
Awesome. Okay, so a little bit of background. This is the first time we're meeting.
It is.
And I'm really excited to interview you because I was following you before we met. So Natalie was on the podcast. We did her interview in Chicago a few weeks ago. She's amazing.
She is.
And she was telling me, I was telling her I was going to Atlanta, and she's like, oh, you got to interview. She's like, are you open to new suggestions? I said, absolutely. I'm just looking for dope Black and brown entrepreneurs. That's like my only requirement. And they have to have good energy, right? Yeah. And she's like, I have somebody perfect for you. And she's like, there's, this guy, he's my friend, like close, like family friends. And I think he'd be amazing. He does like dad vlogs. And I was like, wait a minute, you're not talking about the dad vlog guy, right? And she's like, wait, pull up his Instagram. And I'm like, yes, that's him. I followed him for a few weeks ago. So it was really, really great timing. Yeah. And I just appreciated how refreshing your perspective on fatherhood was in this space where there's not a lot of shine, right? And not a lot of space. Like there's a few other Black creators who talk about fatherhood that are really amazing. But I love like the unique way that you guys do it. So I'm super excited for this interview because our audience is predominantly entrepreneurs, new or aspiring entrepreneurs. Yeah. And even though Black and brown folks have shared experiences, I think the experience of a Black father, especially in entrepreneurship, is unique. And so I'm super excited to kind of hear that about
I got
today.
you. I'm very passionate about it. I always tell people, even if there was no platform and there was no social media, I would do all of this stuff anyways. The platform is very organic and it is my experiences. And it's my experiences from a very unique point of view because I think what I've seen in the past, which is why I think the fatherhood space wasn't as kind of big, is because when you see a dad, we're very short. The conversations are a little short, and it's like, hey, I love my kids. Yeah, I love my kids, but of course you love your kids. We don't want to. Audience doesn't want to see
the obvious
7 hours of you saying I love my kids. Like you have to give them more.
They want some depth. Yeah,
they do want some depth, but they want depth that they recognize and
that they can relate to.
That they recognize and that they can relate to.
Yeah.
So what I've decided to do, and I take this technique from the film world, and it says, don't tell what you can show. So you can scroll for hours on any platform, and I never say, hey man, I love my kids, because the actions that I say, they speak for themselves. Yeah. You'll scroll through it, and I give it all to the audience. I let you interpret it the way that I want. I just give you the visuals, and I give you the information that all go up to your cerebral, and it says,
He loves his kids.
He definitely loves his kids.
Yeah.
And the motto that we use on there is celebrate the simple and appreciate the everyday.
I love that.
And the content is just that. It's simple. I like to, there's a transformation that I like people to go through
Okay.
when they see this. And this is what I talk to brands about too, when we're kind of, I'm trying to understand, like, what are they looking for? Who are they trying to reach? So the transformation is the things that you go through, the very day-to-day things. They're very simple, and we gloss over those things. But those very simple moments have the most value in them.
Yeah.
Because you pull from those situations in times of need. You know,
Yeah.
maybe somebody passes, maybe there's a other situation that happened, and you don't really think of, oh yeah, we went mountain climbing or or riding bikes. Or you say, man, I remember we were just sitting in the living room. And if you can learn to identify those moments faster, I think your quality of life just skyrockets. Because now you can sit in the living room and not feel like, yo, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, I should be doing something. I think that's what a lot of people think.
Toxic productivity.
It is, yeah. When, bro, this is it. Like, I can sit at home with Rachel and be good, because these are the moments that I reach back to. So that's the transformation that I really want people to go through when they see me on the platform, or they see me interact with my kids or with Rachel, because that's really what it is creating the relationships with the people that you love around you, or the people that you're dedicated to, or whoever that is.
Yeah.
I'm just using the example of my wife and kids.
I love that. Okay, so for people who don't have the pleasure of following you and seeing your adorable kids and your great relatable family content, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you guys got started with this platform.
Yeah, so so Taj was born about 5 years ago. Exactly about 5.
Around.
Taj was born 5 years ago, but before he was born, I was very into kind of just documenting.
Okay.
And not necessarily for a platform, just because I like those moments. I mean, I had this video when Rachel and I first met, like the very first time. It ended up getting deleted, but I've always been into just documenting things and saving those things. And then there was just a time where I was like, I think people deserve to see this type of stuff. They deserve to see Rachel and I's relationship, how we work together, how we may disagree, how we bond. Like, they deserve to see that. Why? Because it's not necessarily out there. And the things that I think were out there, are the things that people gravitate to, was like, super Black love. And, you have these people that maybe they kind of let you down because they have this persona of like, oh, everything's hunky-dory, everything's great. We just lay up and we kiss and we dress alike, and we, have
dress alike.
we dress alike, and we have like these, Gucci bags that we both walk through, and we have this image of kind of that's, to me, it just almost sounds unobtainable to some people.
Unrelatable. Yeah.
And what I wanted to do was just create a platform where it's like, hey, this is it. And the platform speaks for itself, because the people that are there and they are invested.
Your community.
And I'm okay with that. And if you don't like it, or if it's boring, like, it's cool. It's probably not for you anyway.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show people that. I wanted to bring them into this world. Hey, this is how we do things. It's not extravagant. It's not crazy. We're not going,
not doing Bali and Dubai.
Yeah. Now it'll be cool. You know what I'm saying?
He said, brand deals come through if y'all want to sponsor us. That's cool.
Bali, if you want to sponsor a whole bunch camera. Bali, you want to come through? Come through. But I think that's the thing that I'm very interested in. Like, show me I want to show you my regular world. You deserve to see that. When you're scrolling, you deserve to see something like that. My thought is, all the stuff that's out there, all the relationship stuff, all the just the random videos, if those are flooding your timeline of everything, I can flood your timeline with my positive stuff or my perspective on stuff.
Yeah.
And I can counter that stuff, maybe, possibly. And you can come to my page whenever you want to laugh, or you want to
something cute or heartwarming,
anything like that. And I'm okay being that for people, even if you never engage or you never leave one comment or anything, and you go in there and you're like, yo, this made me feel good. This is like mad organic. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm
super
okay with,
wholesome.
Get what you need, leave, and that's okay
Yeah.
because that's what it's there for.
I
You're
love
looking
that.
into my world, and this is a privilege for you to be here.
Yeah, I love that. How did you get so comfortable sharing? Because I can only imagine that it's hard. Like I've been married 6 years,
Hmm.
thankfully, but you guys show some very raw, authentic moments. Like nothing too crazy, right? But does it ever become overwhelming, or do you feel pressured to share? Or like how have you guys as a family navigated that in a way that still remains authentic?
Yeah, there's always a line of what should I share versus what I should not share, and
Hmm.
that's a balance. And it's like me and Rachel. If something doesn't feel right, I'm like, hey, Rachel, do you care if I talk about this? Or
Hmm. Do you guys
and
like check in?
I do. And we've been married about 4 years now, and I'm just like, I kind of got a feeling of
Hmm.
what's too much. So if
Hmm.
there's anything that seems like I gotta ask
On the
myself, is it
radar,
too
you're like,
much?
probably.
I'll ask, but we also have this like philosophy where we're into sharing because, like I said, people deserve to see this,
Hmm.
and that's our objective. Like we want people to see this information and this
Hmm.
content. Um, what was I just? I was just about to tell you something. What was your question that you asked me? Oh, about sharing. About
Yes.
sharing. The damn ding
It
on the
totally.
phone. The goddamn
What was
ding. This is why I be trying to like leave my phone alone too. Right? I got a lot of my notifications off because it just dings and dings and like sidetracks me
You're
and,
fine.
and everything. But
Okay, yeah.
we do have this philosophy where we want people to see this content, and we want to help people,
Mm.
and we look at it, and that's where this concept of create dope humans came from.
I'm a little salty. I don't have a hoodie, but
Yeah, I need to.
we gonna remedy that,
It's okay.
right? Okay.
It's easy fix. Easy
Okay.
fix. So Create Dope Humans is this awesome community of people that are just dedicated
Hmm.
to giving information and giving up and being very intentional
Hmm.
with their actions, their words, and
Hmm.
everything, and
Yeah.
pouring that into other people.
I love it.
And how you create dope humans is you do things like you talk to other people, you give them experiences, and you let them do whatever with that.
Hmm.
Now, in my situation, I'm very focused on like my wife and kids. So, me, part of my creating dope humans is pouring everything into the kids.
Hmm.
Now, they may not listen, they may not take it, but that's not necessarily my responsibility.
Yeah.
My responsibility is to throw it out there, just
Hmm.
like a creative. Like, throw the information out there, draw it,
Hmm.
sing it,
The rest
write
is
the
up to them.
song,
Yeah.
put it in there, and whoever takes it, takes it, and whoever doesn't, doesn't. But your responsibility is to put it out there.
Yeah.
So when you ask, how are you so comfortable sharing? Like, that's the motivation right there.
Hmm.
I want to give what I have. At this very moment, whatever I'm thinking, I think you deserve to hear it.
Hmm.
And it's okay because, the thoughts is like the last line of defense before like it's out there in the world.
Yeah.
And when I release something from my head that
Hmm.
I've been thinking and I give it to you, I mean,
Hmm.
how big of a privilege is that?
Yeah.
There's no privacy anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm taking what's in my head and I'm bringing it out to you.
Authentically sharing.
And that's valuable for somebody. Don't
Hmm.
know who, but
Hmm.
that's not my responsibility to
Yeah.
identify who. It's my responsibility to put it out there for you. And that's where the Create Dope Humans platform kind of came from. And you can, and it's very popular with like coaches and psychiatrists, teachers, because these
Hmm.
are people that are very selfless.
Yeah.
That
Constantly pouring into others.
constantly, especially teachers, like
Hmm. Ooh,
you know,
I could never be a teacher. So shout out to the
pay
teachers
pay
because,
what they're paid, endure what they
oh my
endure,
gosh.
especially with this, with parents that are.
And just the kids these days are off the chain too. And then the
It's kind of.
resources and lack thereof, it's really
Yeah,
incredible what they do.
it takes a different type of person to
sure
still
does.
pour into people like
Anointed,
that.
because listen,
Anointed.
child, what?
Yeah, so that type of stuff that's where the motivation to share comes from.
Mm.
Do what you want with the information. I'm just the vessel to put it out there.
I love that. How did you arrive to that? Because that's very profound. It's simple, but it's powerful, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like it comes from a vain place of like, oh, I think I'm interesting, which is cool because some people, are. And I think there's an audience for everybody, right? There's going to be at least one person who wants to hear whatever it is that you or somebody else has to say.
Yep.
But how did you arrive to that intention of I want to help create dope humans, and I want to my business is not to expect anything from you or micromanage what you do with my effort, but my job is to create openly and authentically.
Well, when Taj was, first born, I was like, hey, we need to start him, getting his education right now.
You're
Let's
one of
get
those
his
dads.
finance. I am. I am.
Flashcards that's 2
Everything.
weeks.
Absolutely.
He's
Literally.
not saying his alphabet yet. We
Like,
need to
what's
see.
going on? He's 6 months. I ain't heard no words yet.
You don't got no job applications.
What is happening here? And Rachel like addressed that. She's like, yo, what is happening here? And I'm like, listen, I'm just doing everything I can.
That's
I'm
such
just
a dad thing to do.
I'm just throwing darts here. Like, what's the worst that can happen if I showing him flashcards and talking to him? I know you're not talking back, but I'm saying, hey, Taj, I know you're 6 months, but 2 + 2 = 4.
Listen, some of these TikTok babies, they be talking back.
They do.
I know you've seen those videos.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't be too sure about even that anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm like, I just put it out there.
Yeah.
And that's like, I remember saying, Rachel, I just want him just to be like, just a well-rounded, just human, like just a dope human. Like, that's really what I wanted
That's how
to
it
be.
started.
That's how it started.
Very cool.
And I was like, I just want to create like just a dope human. And I'm like, that's great because it's authentic to me. It's authentic to our family. It's authentic to the platform. It's not rushed. And whoever it's for, it's
We'll
for
receive
them.
it.
We'll receive it. So that's why I say I get a lot of messages from trainers and teachers and people that have a vested interest in other people. And those are the people that this message resonates
100%.
with. So
Awesome. And when you were starting this brand, were you working at 9 to 5 or is like this your full-time thing now? Or like walk us through some of the logistics.
yeah, so the entrepreneurial route is very, very interesting to me because usually when I would listen to like podcasts or I would, watch something on TV, you'll see somebody, and the common thing that everybody says was like, yeah, when I was 10 years old, I was, selling candy.
Right? No, literally.
That's what she said, ain't it?
She was 13. She started a clothing line.
You see?
And then before him, Corey was selling the Kool-Aid cups.
Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? I ain't do that shit.
He said, I was playing, okay, trying not to get in trouble.
I ain't do none of this. I ain't have a selling bone in my body.
That's so funny.
So I'm watching this stuff and I'm looking at this like, this stuff is not for me because everybody, I don't fit the persona of what all these people are.
Got it.
These people are all sellers. They're
natural marketers.
I remember negotiating like, no. I was playing and doing dumb stuff. So it was more intimidating than anything. And then, I went to college.
Okay.
I got the degrees and things that I got.
Where'd you go to school?
Central State University is a historically black college in Central Ohio.
Come on, HBCU.
Yeah, there's
two
two HBCUs in Ohio.
Okay.
Wilberforce University was just right across the street from Central State. Wilberforce is actually the very first historically black college ever created.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I went to Central State directly across the street from
Very
there.
cool.
Yeah, I graduated 2010.
Okay.
And just awesome experiences with all that.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, you're from Ohio.
Yeah, I'm from Ohio.
Okay, I was wondering if you just decided Ohio's where I need to be at school.
No, Ohio
no
is where I
judgment,
live. It's okay. I'm sorry, I didn't pay much attention. But I went to school and I kind of did what everybody kind of says that you should do, and I don't want it to make it sound like I'm ungrateful because it was a good path. They said, hey, you should do engineering, and I said, okay, cool.
That's a great path.
Yeah, I'll do it. Like, that's what you guys said? Sure. And I think it took a long time for me to just build up like, hey, you can do something else. And now I tell Rachel when she met me, that was around my rebirth time.
Your rebirth?
My rebirth,
okay.
when I was saying, hey, I don't just have to work a 9 to 5, or I don't just have to, work between those hours. Like, I can work on something else. I can do something else. But now, in my head, I'm playing catch up.
Catch up? Why catch up?
Because I don't know what an entrepreneur is. Because everybody has told me what to do. I wasn't selling candy at 7 years old. I didn't have none of those motivations. What I had is, hey, you go to this school, you sit here, You get this degree. This degree leads to this.
Did you
go
get
through
good grades in
kind of
school too?
What? Let's define
College,
good
because I feel like
grades.
for engineering is hard. So usually it's a pretty strenuous program where you have to maintain like a pretty decent grade. But like how were you as a student is a better question in college specifically.
I was a very hard worker just because super competitive, and I really hate like losing stuff. And I was, if there's people from HBCUs watching this, especially engineers that are watching this, the culture in the HBCU engineering program is very like
Rigorous.
it's very rigorous, and the professors are very unforgiving because
Demanding.
because because they've come from Harvard's and
Oh, snap.
these MIT. They've come from these locations. They didn't go to HBCU.
Yeah.
They come here, and then they don't want it to make it seem like, oh, we're going easy on you. So it's almost like they turn it up a little bit more.
Challenge
And the
accepted.
classes are much smaller, so it's a little harder to hide.
Yeah.
So a lot more critical of things, and so I embraced a lot of that just because of my personality. Like, I hate when people tell me no. I mean, that I've always had for a very long time.
That sounds like an entrepreneur spirit to
It
me.
does, but now you got to connect the dots, which is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Like, I had to understand what are like, oh, that's entrepreneurs do that. Like, they are persistent, but that wasn't a connection that I made
That you had
initially.
made yet.
I had to make it, and I had to spend time by like, watching videos and analyzing it. Every video that I watch, I had to analyze, like, this person said this person said this is like what they had in common, which is how I arrived at everybody sells candy or does something. And I'm
My
like,
research is concluded. Yeah.
so like, yeah, everybody like loses money
Yeah.
in the beginning, or
Have breakdowns,
even for a
multiple
while.
breakdowns.
Like, these are the things that they do, and I'm trying to find what are those traits that I have,
Okay.
and how I can apply those type of things. So always was my definition of a hard worker, and that has always evolved.
Okay.
Now there was this, that's what I was gonna say. Like, there's just so much that I had to evolve with, and I was telling Rachel, like, this is my rebirth, because I thought I was working hard. I'm at Central State. I just get finished with this like Calculus 3 class.
Ooh, child.
And me and this other guy, we're sitting in the office and we're going through it. It's probably like an hour after class. And I'm like, you know what? I just put an hour of work in after class. I'm like, yo, this is cool. I'm about to go to the caf. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, you coming? He was like, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. I'm just gonna finish up this problem. All right, cool. I go to the caf, walk around, got my slushie. I'm in my slides and stuff now, beater. And it's probably like 7 hours done passed by. Like, it's probably like midnight at this point.
Yeah.
I cut through that building. That same guy is sitting in that same room,
Wow.
like, just working on stuff. And I'm like, bro, did you leave and come back? He was like, no, I just been in here. I was like, what are you doing? Like, what is there to do?
Do you need help?
Like, what is there to do?
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I understand this stuff. And at that point, literally, my level of what hard work is kind of changed and elevated, because
Wow.
I thought that I was doing harder. I thought I was doing hard work. I thought I was being efficient. I thought I was like, I put in an hour. And those are the different learnings that, like, you have to understand that you don't know. And that was a point where I didn't understand I didn't know. Let me tell you another thing just about perspective. Like what is a lot of money?
Listen.
Don't know.
So I thought when I was in college that a lot of money was $100,000. 6 figures, I made it, right? Generational wealth, house with a picket fence, dog if we so saw fit, And I had a very rude awakening that, like, 6 figures, at least in today's economy, don't do too much. And I don't want to downplay it as like it's not a feat, because it is a lot of money. But when you consider like housing and then like debt to income ratio, retirement, it goes real quick. It goes
does.
real quick. And so I love that you're pointing that out, because even in my journey, a lot of money, the definition of that has changed, right? Like, and then also, what's a lot of money if you don't have peace? Right? Or if you don't have time to spend with your family, or you don't have health, or don't have energy. So I love that question, but I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. I mean, what I'm saying is, I have to learn this stuff. First, you have to realize it. So that takes time to even get to that point. Then you have to understand, okay, I just realized that what is the actual thing that I should be shooting for here?
Yeah.
I was working for a company that made helicopters at one point, and I was like, man, if I'm making, $70,000, the person that runs this whole building, he's got to make $150,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I said that to somebody. He was like, do you think the person that runs this whole Fortune 100 company makes $150,000? I was like, he's got to. I make like 70. He's got to make 150
At least.
at bare minimum on the good year.
That's cute.
Plus maybe a $10,000 bonus or something.
Maybe even 15.
But this is, and I was being completely honest.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, just look it up. This guy made like $6 million a year. I'm like, how was I so off?
Yeah.
And it's because I had no idea concept of money, no idea of like what is a lot, like what to gauge it on. So now I have to kind of evolve there. How do you evolve there? I have to understand now. I have to go and learn about it.
Yeah.
And that's why I say Rachel caught me when I was in this rebirth moment. Like, so now I still work full time. Now.
Do you?
I do, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think a lot of people even know that.
Okay. I didn't know that. I definitely thought, because y'all are pretty consistent with your content. And so much of your content is with your children that it wouldn't be far-fetched to think, oh, you're at home.
Yeah.
Or work from home
makes,
even.
And it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And I don't like, I think the audience will benefit from kind of knowing that side of it. And it's something that I've considered kind of including.
Yeah.
But I just haven't, because I just like the content to kind of stand on its own.
Stand on its own.
And I don't want to leave a bunch of room for kind of misinterpretations of things from the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So in terms of the actual business, when did you start posting the videos? I know that you've always been documenting, but when did you like think to yourself, okay, I'm going to start posting this, in terms of like a business?
Yeah. So probably, and that definition has changed too. So probably 2018, I thought I was, about to operate. Well, I was uploading, and then I was like, oh, this could probably be a business. And then I was like, yeah, I'll upload like once a month, and then, we'll see what happens, and I'll figure out how to get paid. And I don't know how, but maybe that is. And like once a week or once every 2 weeks, that doesn't necessarily get it. But I kind of learned that. It's like you need to, provide value to people. And the brand, because it's an influencer marketing business, the brands have to be on your radar. How can you get on their radar? Well, you have to keep posting. Well, if I post once a week, if I do a little bit of math, I post once a week. Let's say the average person follows 1,000 people.
The chances of them seeing your post
and
the algorithm constantly changing and suppressing photos for real. It's just a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so what should I do? And this wasn't even Reels at the time. So I'm like posting pictures.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm just posting like, pictures and some videos and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, what do I have to do to get you to see me more so that,
Marketing
brands can see me? And it's like, oh, maybe I should just talk a little bit more, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because the content that I create is organic. So I just need to learn, let me upload more.
Was the intent to like monetize from the very beginning, or was it just like to honor your personal mantra of creating dope humans?
Yeah, it was the latter. I mean, I didn't even know that you can monetize it. I knew that you could, but I didn't know how you could.
Got you.
Like, yeah,
you were still new in your entrepreneurship journey.
I'm telling you, it was all new. Like, I've heard of people, they get 1 million followers or something, and somehow they make money, have no idea where that money comes from.
Yeah.
But and then that's where being around kind of like-minded people. So people that are also in the space, like Glenn, he goes by Belief in Fatherhood.
I don't think I follow him.
Yeah, he's in the space very heavily. He's been around for a little while. So I talked to him a lot. He's like walking me through, hey, you can get what's called a brand deal. It's like, what is a brand deal? I've been in engineering the last few years. You say brand deal, what is that?
What does that mean? Yeah.
He's like, yeah, they'll pay you to post this stuff. I was like, oh, how do I do that? Well, you have to get on the radar. Well, how do I do? And then like having people like that to kind of walk me through. It's like, okay, they give me a little bit of information.
Yeah.
I respect what they've given me, and I go and do the work to get there.
The execution is the most important
part.
part.
The execution is the most important part. And so him kind of helping me out with that and giving me that information, I take that, very seriously and very grateful. I go execute it, and then it's like, okay, this is how I make, money. The first brand that I partnered with paid me like, $200, and I was like, yo,
I was gonna post this anyway, so it's good that.
yeah, and then what I learned, kind of going on, like that changes. Like your definition changes. Okay, $200, thank you. But my it's different now.
Yeah, price went up.
Price went up because I know what you're expecting now.
And the value went up.
I know the value in that.
Yep.
The value in my very small audience of people that are incredibly dedicated to kind of seeing us do well and kind of seeing us
It will show up for
perform.
you.
They will, and that's valuable to other people because, like I said, even if there was no brand deals, we would still upload this kind of stuff because of the initial mission of what we're doing. So learning all of that, and then understanding that like you can operate this like a business, which I didn't think about that till maybe a few years ago. Like, okay, maybe I should keep track of the things that I post. Maybe I should post at certain times.
You said 2018 you started, right?
2018.
When did you? So was it like in the pandemic that you realized like, oh, I could run this as a business?
No. Well, it was around the pandemic that the timing worked out where I started to learn that this can be more of a business.
Okay.
Like I wasn't I guess pandemic motivated, but it did align because like I said, it was my rebirthing, aligning with the information that I'm getting and me executing that information and me saying, oh, this is how you would monetize something like this.
Yeah.
So it did work out to do that around like 2019, 2020, and then, hit a little stride. And then, now it's a great influencer marketing company now.
What were like the tactical steps that you took to get it from I'm just posting content to like now I'm actually making this a business, I'm actually moving it forward, this is a stream of income for my family?
Yeah, very analytical, kind of understanding what are the needs of the audience, the people that are following me, like why are you following me? And I hired a company to help me understand that. Yeah, they helped me understand like what is my brand? Why am I doing this in the first place?
Branding is so important. The earlier you do it too, the better the value is. Because there's nothing worse like building something. It's like almost like throwing a party, but all the wrong people come.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And after you done paid your money and got dressed up, you're like, wait, I love y'all, but I don't want y'all here.
So I had about the audience size on Instagram was maybe about 10 to 12,000 before I did the branding, before I worked with the branding team. After the branding team, within like 7 months or so, I was well over like 100,000.
Wow, so a huge jump.
I mean, huge jump. And that was one of the execution steps too. And I also got that from Glenn. Glenn's gonna get a lot of shout outs from here.
Yeah, we're plugging in the show notes.
He came to Atlanta. And he was like, hey, I'm in Atlanta, let's link. I linked up, and then he was like, all right, Glenn's very straightforward. He's like, so what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, what are you doing with social media? Like,
What's your plan?
What is your objective? I was like, I want to, make some money. He's like, no. Don't let me off the hook at all. And I'm like, yo, that's good. He was like, you need to understand, like, what's your message? And I was like, I want to talk about fatherhood and show that I love. He's like, nah, bro, that ain't your message. He's like, we all want to do that.
That's cute. Next. Yeah.
And then, him saying those words is like, yo, what is the message that I want to get? And that's how I developed like the transformation that I want people to go through. I focus on the simple things. I celebrate the simple. I appreciate the everyday, and I do that through the content.
I love that.
And understanding that stuff helps bring the audience kind of closer within and build this community.
Yeah.
And having people like Glenn and other people that have been on the platform for a little while to say, hey, this is actually what you're looking for if you want to, grow and impact people the way that you say that you want to do. Yeah. And that's very tactical. He said you need some help. You need to understand that.
He's like, let me show you the ways.
Yeah, and that's when I found the branding team, and they just completely helped me out.
Got you. Okay, cool. So you hired a branding team. How's the business doing up until that point? Like outside of followers, because followers doesn't always mean money, right?
Yeah.
But like, how was the business from a profitability standpoint up until that?
Yeah, so there was 2 sections. There was the influencer marketing side, where we work with the brands, and then there was the merchandise and apparel line, the Create Dope Humans line.
What kind of brands were you guys working with? Just
Gerber was a big one.
also family brands.
Yeah, some family brands, and then we did Reebok for a little while.
Okay.
And just it depends on their campaign type, but it's mostly like family stuff. I mean, I haven't gotten any like super random
Dads
stuff.
wear Nikes too.
Yeah, that's what Nikes do.
Nike, feel free to contact us.
Which camera?
It's that one right here.
Yeah, Nike.
I just need my 1%. I just 1% and I'm fine.
Right.
Okay, cool. So you have your influencer marketing going on. Was that substantial money? Like, how much would you say you were pulling in before you kind of got clear on the brand?
So maybe initially it was probably about maybe 5,000 initially a year. And then
A year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But these are multiple brand deals. Like,
Okay.
It's like 5,000, but it's like I probably worked with like 10 brands
Okay.
like for the whole year, which is a lot for a year.
Yeah.
And then kind of after that, maybe the brands that I worked with maybe shrunk maybe to 8 or something, and I was like over 6 figures for that.
I know that's right.
Yeah, and it's like understanding like how to price yourself. And
$200, take it or leave it. I'll take it. Shoot.
that's what it is. That's what
And
it
you're
is.
like, did I get swindled? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And
there was one company, I'm really not going to say their name,
Okay.
but there was one deal, and it was me, it wasn't them. They just made an offer, and I said yes.
Because they're probably expecting to negotiate, and you didn't.
And I did not.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, you're going to pay me, maybe it was $3,000 for this?
Sure.
All right, cool. Here's my soul. Take it. For $3,000?
In perpetuity.
Yeah, cool, yes. Oh, I hate that word. I learned about that word so much. Listen, the D'Anthony that you are experiencing now is so much more intelligent, so much smarter than D'Anthony from even 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
You're evolving.
I am absolutely evolving. Now, I wish I would have evolved much faster, but it comes with the process.
Yeah.
So we went over 6 figures, and one brand, they said, oh, we'll give you, $3,000 to do a couple posts. And then it's like, sure, like 3 posts or 3 or 4 posts over the course of like a year. And then there was a clause in there that said, oh, we could recommend and request that you do maybe 2 or 3 more. I didn't know about that clause until they said, hey, can you do this? And I was like, no, the contract says 2 or 3. And they're like, that part of the contract say 2 or 3. This part says we may call on you to promote other stuff. So you need to do that.
Yikes.
And now I'm making all of this content for, slaving on the computer and thinking of the messaging and engaging the audience. Because I really want to be very respectful to the audience. Like, this is the first thing that I have. I don't care what the brand deal is. I'm only accepting things that I think is valuable, number one.
Yeah.
So the brand wasn't a bad brand. It was something I believed in. It was just bad contract language.
Yeah.
But I'm always going to respect them. I'm always going to give the audience high quality. I'm always going to focus on the message. I'm always going to focus on the delivery of the message because I appreciate them for being here, for stopping on my content and engaging with that content.
Yeah.
And, engaging with the content shows the brands that you appreciate this kind of content.
Yeah.
So I always want to keep that in the forefront. So now I'm like, okay, I got all of these videos to do. I'm really not incredibly motivated to do them because I feel like I've gotten swindled. But it's my own fault because I didn't read the whole contract. That perpetuity word is in there.
He's like, damn you.
Yeah, God damn.
Yeah.
So now I go through it. I take my licks, and now I'm a little bit smarter now.
Obviously, you're getting smarter with your business, right? You're making over 6 figures, which is an amazing fee, right? Do you just like what you're doing because you've spent so much time, studying for engineer? But like, I'm just curious as to, in your entrepreneurship journey, if you ever see yourself leaving engineering in your 9 to 5 to do this full time.
Yeah, it's on the table, and it's still more evolving, like for me, because all the things that I saw, again, all the podcasts and things that I watched, they say, hey, I just quit. I just quit. I just said, I'm going to do it, and I did it. And I'm like, that sounds good. And I'm not against people that do that, but that just feels strange to me. But almost it feels strange because I don't know if I've given the platforms and the businesses that I've created enough respect to be able to quit and say, hey, I'm going to do you like full time. I don't know if I have.
Yeah.
And I'm learning, like, am I not? Because I think it's very arrogant for me, not for anybody else, for me to say, yeah, I'm going to, quit my job and I'm going to, do this full time. And it's like, do I really have everything? Have I really learned everything that I need to learn to do this full time? You think that you're treating this like a hobby, and then you're gonna quit your paying job, your safety net, and then you're gonna come over here with me. You haven't given me any respect, and you think this is just gonna be simple.
It's just gonna work out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that comes with that. Like,
Yeah.
maybe, and this again, I've read stories, and it makes all sense. Scaling down like your home, scaling down your cars, scaling down like your expenses and your lifestyle to be able to run that.
Yeah.
And that's an option. But I also have like a whole family here, so
Yeah.
I do think that I need time to understand kind of not just what I'm getting into, but since I'm very data driven, like when does this make sense? And that's the thing that I think is different between me and things that I see on television or podcasts. Like there's
The
some
children
people
entrepreneurs.
there's some people that just say, "Hey, I'm just going to quit, and whatever happens, happens." And
Yeah.
that is cool. And I wish that I had that, but I don't have that right at this moment.
Okay.
But from my experience, I will get there, and it happened with everything. The examples that I gave you about understanding what hard work is, I got there a little bit better. Negotiating, I understand that a lot more now. So this is just part of the process,
Yeah.
and I don't really let anybody bully me into saying, "Hey, you should just quit like right now."
That's what all the entrepreneurs are doing.
That's
Why
what
aren't
all the
you doing it?
entrepreneurs- Yeah, yeah. And it's like this is like my path, and I know there's some stuff that I got to work out, but the
Of course.
key is I gotta work it out.
It's
Now,
your journey, your path, your timing.
yeah. Now, if I was, super single, I probably would. Like if this was like 10 years ago, I probably would have did it because it's
just
literally
you.
just me, and I can live off of rice.
You're not unique.
And
A lot of
baked
men.
chicken.
I tell my husband all the time, be like, if it was up to you, we'd live in a box. Because he just
Yeah.
very low maintenance,
We
very easy.
are,
Wait, when's your
yes.
birthday?
October 6th.
So you are a
Libra.
very balanced, very chill.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So
I think men have a simplicity that balances women out at times and sometimes perplexes us. But I also think that it contributes to the strength and the ability for you guys to push through and execute some difficult things that taxes us women in a different. I don't think that we can't do it, but I think it costs us differently. It weighs on our shoulders. The weight doesn't feel the same on our shoulders, even though we can bear it sometimes. And so as much as sometimes it annoys the hell out of me, at least with my husband, with how simple his thought process is just like 1 + 1 is 2. Like I've heard an analogy that, men's brains are like boxes and the boxes don't touch.
Wait, what? They're like boxes. The boxes don't touch.
Yep. So the thing that happened at work has nothing to do with but women, it's more like a international highway where it's always like an internet highway. Everything's humming and buzzing and everything's connected. And it's like, well, you didn't do this, so that must mean this. And da-da-da-da. You're like, no, I'm tired. And that's why I'm not talking. That's it. It has nothing to do with you.
Very black and white. Very, very,
Yes.
very black and white.
I'm gonna have to send you the video that I saw. It's so good.
The dynamics of marriage is so weird to me.
Is it?
It's weird because it doesn't make sense when you really think about it. Rachel and I are so opposite. I do not know how it works. She likes things hot. I like things cold. She likes to dive deep into some stuff. I like to be very shallow with that stuff. Other stuff I like to dive deep in. She likes to be very
She's
shallow.
like,
There's like it's like the odds of connecting and being together and agreeing on certain things. It's like the probability of it is like out there.
But here you guys are building a life together.
Now think of this: boy meets girl,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, it's just you by yourself. I'm a guy by myself, and I'm doing everything I want by myself. Then I'm like, hey, I would like to include you in here, Rachel. So now I have to learn your feelings, your emotions. I have to, understand all of that, your dynamics and everything that comes with you.
Yeah.
That's a feat in itself.
It
Now
sure
let's add a child. Now,
For shits and giggles, let's do 2.
no. Let's not even get to 2 yet. We gotta stay on 1 right now. Stay on 1. I'm gonna tell you how weird 1 is.
Okay.
So now I'm trying to learn me. Remember, I'm trying to learn me. I'm trying to learn you. I am changing. You are changing. Let's have a child. The child just got here. He don't know what the heck he got
This
going
is show
on.
now.
Now I am changing because I met you. I'm changing because I am me. I'm also a person. I'm changing because now I have a son or a child.
Yeah.
And now you're changing because you have a son or a child. I just started to learn me. Then I just started to learn me with you. Now I have to learn me with this child. And no, let's throw another child in there. Now I got to learn me with you, my wife, me with the child that also needs to learn himself. So he's just running around everywhere doing whatever. Now he needs to learn me. I need to be sensitive to him. He has a sister. His interaction, like the web is so wild. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like how this actually logically makes sense, which always brings me to the conclusion that logic just don't explain everything. Because
It don't.
family,
And I think that's what messes men up so bad.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. Because this don't make sense.
No.
It don't. But we do it because it feels good, and we like it most days. We're able to tolerate it most days. But
and then that doesn't even include business, because that was my next question. Like, how do you have a business? Well, yes, it's called Dad Vlog, but obviously Rachel's very involved in the business. Even like when we were orchestrating this interview, right? Rachel's involved. She's like helping with your schedule, and she's walking me through what's important to you guys, the book release that's coming up. So how do you guys manage to have a very public relationship with 2 children and work together in this business?
yeah, we do talk a lot. The one thing that Rachel and I, we gon' talk, and we gon' discuss, and we just make sure that we're just always just on the same page, or at least close to the same page. So a lot of touch points, and we touch on that like in the book. And, the book just kind of shows you kind of how to get through the pregnancy process as a team together. And one of the sections that we have in there, we have like these like couple check-ins where it's like, hey, pressure, hey, how are you doing? A very focused time. And in the book, I explain this where you sit and you just say, hey, how you feeling?
Yeah.
Put the phone down, not while the TV is on.
Yeah.
That very focused time like that. And one of the reasons why we work well together is because we try to do that. We try to incorporate that.
Yeah.
And that just gives us the focus that we need in order to kind of execute the way that we need to execute. And it's also Rachel kind of learning me and me learning Rachel. Rachel is very tactical, incredibly tactical. She's like
a Swiss Army knife.
yeah,
Sure.
she's like, okay, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I want to do this, this, and this. So you need to do 1, 2, 3.
Working
I'm like,
backwards
yes.
from,
And then she's like, okay, I'll do 1, 2, and 3. Where I'm like, yeah, 1, 2, 3 is going to get done. Like
some kind of way.
it's going to get done. I need to focus more on like the overall,
The 10,000 foot view.
the 10,000 foot view. And where initially we got into trouble is I was trying to give her that perspective. Like, Rachel, you need to be a little bit more high level. And I'm like, why? Like, why don't I just keep my brain, you keep your brain, and let's figure out how to mesh that versus getting you to start over and adopt things that I've had in me for a very long time.
Yeah.
You've had things in you for a very long time. Why don't we just take those things and merge them together instead of trying to create a whole new person?
Yeah, and maximizing the strengths you guys already have.
That's it.
Rather than trying to spend, so much time correcting things that they're just naturally not good at, like doubling down on things that we're good at. I love
So
that.
like scheduling and things like those things take a lot of energy for me to like, all right, this is at 3 o'clock, this is at 4 o'clock over here, this is over here. And since I've married somebody that's into that,
You know what's so funny? So when we were walking up to the space, I was like, oh, you guys are coming to the podcast launch party. And you're like, what? What day is it? Because you're up at 10,000 foot view. But Rachel's like, yes, we've already RSVP'd. We have a day. Like, I know because I've talked to Rachel. You guys actually have like a babysitter already lined up. And she has it on her calendar.
That's great. I'm
You're
so
like,
glad.
I'm glad somebody around here knows what's going on.
Yeah. And that's so good that you say that, because there's this level of trust too where, with our certain strengths, like we don't have to question anything. I don't have to say, hey, Rachel, did you do A, B, and C? Because, I know
she's
that
got
portion of her. I know she has that. There's some things like she's not going to say, hey, Deanna, do you have like your messaging for, what you want to talk about on the podcast? Do you have that type? Like, she knows not to necessarily ask me that.
She got it. She has
may
trust.
She may pressure check it just in conversation, but she already knows I'm focused on that.
Yeah.
And she knows that, that she can trust me with that. I know I can trust her with those things. And those things just mesh so well together.
I love that. How have you guys been able to navigate conflict when it comes to the business? Like, I've heard some couples who do business together say that there's, hours, right? Where after this point, they don't discuss business because it's like they're just one-on-one time or whatever, or they try not to bring it home, as in we don't talk about the business in the bed or things like that. Like, are there any practices that you guys use that you feel have helped you guys through the entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, I try not to talk about things like in the bed. Um, Almost like after like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Like I can probably do some things on my own, but I don't want to discuss them like with you. I don't want us to have a discussion about it because I need that time to be for just something else.
Yeah.
Especially, we're just jam packed all day.
You
We
need a
got
chance to
like
unplug, reset.
yeah, we got the kids, then we have, all the businesses, then we have like the 9 to 5 life that we have. And everything is so back to
That's
back.
crazy.
There needs to be a cutoff.
Yeah.
And sometimes, Rachel's brain just keeps going and she's like, hey, maybe we should do this. Like she'll throw out an idea.
And you're like, can
seconds.
we talk about this in the morning?
Absolutely. And I say those words. I'm like, ooh, just not
I
right.
love that.
Just
But
not right now.
tomorrow.
Yeah. I like not today. Let's just do
Yeah.
tomorrow. But today, let's just watch trash TV.
Yeah.
Let's watch
Wait, what
animals.
trash TV are y'all watching?
I'm like a YouTube like connoisseur,
Okay.
and I watch the most randomest thing on YouTube, and it
Really?
eases my mind.
Like what kind of stuff?
I make family content
Yeah.
and vlogs and stuff, but I don't consume that kind of content.
Okay.
It's very strange.
Okay.
But when I need to release, not
Like
just want to just
decompress,
be,
yeah.
it's like animal videos.
Okay, listen, my feed on Instagram is the most ridiculous thing. It's like extreme hustle business meets lion attacks. It's only on Instagram, but the algorithm knows I'm gonna watch it.
The algorithm is gonna know. The algorithm gonna algorithm.
Yeah.
Like they don't know. That's how mine is on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to see a hyena and a lion just fight.
Right? I saw an alligator and a cobra. Was it a cobra, an alligator, and an anaconda?
Yep.
I
don't
don't know why. Like,
I don't know,
so
but
weird.
it's such a release
Yes.
for me.
It's like brainless activity.
brainless activity. That's what it is, and that's why. I guess that's why it's so interesting to me
Yeah.
because I'm entertained by it, but it's not for credit.
Yeah.
Like me absorbing it, which I feel like most of the day is me absorbing, analyzing
Processing,
information.
yes.
And I get to just watch a hyena
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with my life just run from a lion.
Yeah. What are some of the mistakes that you guys made when it comes to your entrepreneurship journey, whether together or independently, that you guys have recognized?
From a merchandise standpoint, so the clothing here, I don't think I realized kind of how much risk is associated with having inventory on hand. So I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna start this, clothing line here. We're gonna sell merchandise. And it's like, yeah, I have the idea that I'm passionate about. I think it resonates with people. Let me put it like kind of on the shirt. It's like, okay, yeah, I order like, 5 shirts or 10 shirts, and then I order some, and it's like, oh dang, I didn't order any extra larges. And it's just like green things like that, and understanding like, hey, you need to give this more respect, and you need to sit down and say, okay, this is how much inventory I'm going to have on hand. This is how much I probably should sell of this to recoup whatever. This is not just slap a design on a shirt or hoodie.
You have to have a strategy.
You have to respect the audience enough to have a strategy and respect the craft of selling and marketing enough to implement these things.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep going back to. Like, are we respecting these businesses?
Yeah.
Are we putting that time in and saying this, or are we just expecting the audience to just,
I'm here now. You can manifest.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, here. Cool shirt here, and I don't need to put it in front of you. I'm so arrogant that I think that I can make a shirt and you just buy the shirt just without me spending anything on marketing, without me trying to craft a message,
Putting
without
in
me
time,
without me trying to like build the website that is appealing to you to come to. I'm going to be that arrogant where I think I can just put something on the shirt and just give it to you.
Yeah.
No. So understanding that kind of stuff was a learning curve there.
Okay. Got you. And then what are some of the tools and the resources that you and your wife, Rachel, like to use to manage your guys' time? Because between 9 to 5, kids, a foundation, YouTube, Instagram, so many platforms. Like, what are some tactical things that you guys use? Is it like apps that you like or systems that you like?
Yep. Google everything.
Okay.
Like Google Sheets, Google Notes, Google Calendar. It was a point where we were just like we'll take notes and stuff, and then she'll text me some notes, and then she's like, "Hey, I put this in the iCloud drive," and then I'm looking for stuff a couple months later. I'm like, "Hey, did you do this?" She's like, "Yeah, I put it in this." "Oh no, it was on my computer." And it's like, you know what? We just want to do one central location.
Okay.
So we're gonna do Google everything for all stuff. We're gonna put all kind of designs there.
Yeah.
I'll put all the budgeting, finance there, everything there in case you have a question, I have a question. We go to one
The centralized
central
location.
location. And when you run a business, and one of the things that I've learned like from working for these large corporations, I don't think a lot of times we really understand like the skills that we've developed and like how transferable
They are.
those skills are
Oh my
to
gosh.
the business that you want to run.
Yeah.
So right now I work at Google now
Okay.
here in Atlanta.
Very cool.
And I'm like, Google hired me because I'm very analytical. And I solve problems. And, in an interview, I'll say that. This is how I solve problems. This is how I'm analytical.
Yeah.
And why didn't it click to me that I can solve the same problems from an entrepreneurial standpoint?
Yeah.
I can be analytical in my own way.
Yeah.
I have skills that somebody wants to pay me for.
Yes.
You want to pay me for these skills that I have at a company like this.
Yes.
That means something.
Fortune 10.
What do I have that you see that I don't see?
And how do you leverage that in your own business?
Yeah, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's figuring out how, okay, I'm analytical here. I'm analytical at the job, and I'm taking these spreadsheets and I'm looking at these and I'm looking for trends. Why can't I do that here?
That's
the
true.
type of content that I create.
Yeah.
What are people liking the most? What are people very into? When I post myself, what did the numbers look like?
Yeah.
When I talk about this topic, what do the numbers look like?
Yeah.
And how can I focus in on that? And then a brand that wants to partner with us, I can say, hey, are you trying to reach women? Because this is kind of what we look at from a
Nice.
women point from
Perspective.
the perspective. Is you want to reach kids, I guess, or parents of kids, whatever the case may be. Like, this is how all of that stuff breaks down.
Yeah.
And these are the same skills that I learned in college,
Yeah.
the same skills that all these companies have hired me to do. And I didn't realize that those skills were transferable. You're operating in like a silo.
Yeah.
So I think once people start to realize that, like, your skills are actually transferable because somebody's actually paying you money
Already,
to
yeah.
do
You have
these
a solid
things.
client, and
You have a solid person that is like, I will give you 200,000, whatever amount a year
Yeah.
to do these things. Like, how much do you think that you can actually be worth if somebody's actually trying to
Yeah.
pay you for this? How much can you make on your own with these skills?
Yeah.
So that's
I love that.
that's where I am now.
Okay, cool. In terms of like your vulnerability, like you talk about raw, authentic fatherhood on your page, right? Some of it's funny and it's cheeky and there's like a message in the humor. But then sometimes there's a little bit more transparency where you're like talking to camera. As a Black man, how has your journey been to being so vulnerable with fatherhood?
I don't think I'm as vulnerable as I probably should be.
You think so?
I don't think so, because I think there's a lot of things that I don't say and I don't communicate to the audience, just because it just kind of feels strange to me, opening up and saying, hey, this or that. Like, it feels a little weird.
Yeah.
And I've been working on that because I want to share more, because I think people deserve to hear that kind of stuff. So I want to share more. I want to talk more about things. Like, for example, this is probably super kind of left field for you here, but my dad passed away yesterday.
Yesterday?
Or I
gosh.
found out yesterday.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
No, I mean, it's part of the whole process of things, and this is something that I want to share with people. Why? Because this is my first opportunity to kind of understand like this. I mean, this is live for me now. Like, how do I feel? I don't know. How am I supposed to feel? How should you feel, or how did you feel? I want to give that data point to somebody so they can kind of gauge it themselves. Like, yeah, I felt like that.
Wow.
And that's kind of what this is, which is why I wanted to come do this. I wanted to kind of pressure test kind of where am I at? Can I have this conversation with you? This being so incredibly fresh, is this something that, I will feel like sharing? Is it something that I don't want to share? Like, and I do want to share it, and I want to discuss it and talk about it, to the best that I can, because I think it's important to give somebody that data point for whenever it happens to them.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It takes incredible courage, and I'm so sorry for your loss. How are you feeling? Like, how are you coping in this moment with that kind of weight in news?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still just kind of in the middle of it.
Processing.
Yeah, I think I'm still processing it, and that's just the word that I just know from hearing people kind of say it. So I think this is processing. Maybe in hindsight, a couple of weeks, maybe I'll be like, oh, actually wasn't processing at all. That was just being
going
numb
through the
to
motions and didn't even know.
Yeah, so I think that I'm kind of respecting the process, and I think what I am doing is I'm talking out loud about it, because there's something that happens when you think about something. Those thoughts are in your head, and they can do anything. But when you say the words out loud, you say what you're thinking. I think that turns it into a whole nother thing.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to run from the information. I don't want to get absorbed in like work or try to go work out to get my mind. Like, I don't want to get my mind off of it.
Yeah,
I want
you're
to get my
leaning
mind
into it.
I want to get my mind on it, because I need to, in my head, I need to embrace what's happening, because this is the reality. I need to embrace it. I need to talk about it. I need to understand like how it sounds going back into my head. And that's just kind of where I am now. So just being very open with saying it, talking about it, and all of that.
Do you have a therapist?
No.
Would you be open to therapy?
I am open to therapy. I just suck at execution.
I hope you're not doing engineering work for Google.
And therapy is something that has evolved with me too, because initially I'm like, well, logically, remember this is my man brain that I'm about to
Fair enough.
I'm about to go. Logically, I mean, why do I need somebody to talk to me about like my problems when if I feel like if I know what the problem is, I can solve the problem like myself. And it's not about that. I learned, but I learned that.
Yeah.
And I learned that kind of on my own. So it is beneficial to do it.
Yeah.
But finding a therapist is not as easy as you would think.
It's not.
So
you have
I've
to date a therapist. Where are you looking? I love therapy. So
where
are you looking?
Anywhere, honestly.
Are you looking through a portal?
No.
Try Psychology
Google.
Today. Psychology Today is I found all of my therapists on Psychology Today.
All of them? You have multiple?
Well, over the years I've moved and they have
okay,
licenses.
okay.
So like, for example, I have a therapist now in Dallas. And I actually interviewed my therapist of like 6 years who was in Atlanta with me. And I just interviewed her on the podcast, which was super interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. So Psychology Today, my profile for therapists, and I've said this on the show several times, is 10 years my senior, devout Christian Black woman.
Okay.
Give me like auntie vibes.
Nice.
Somebody who's going to like, be gentle with me when I'm really, really raw, but who can also be like, listen here, little girl, what you need to be doing is this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody who's like, sees me going down the path of destruction and goes, what do you think you should be doing? Right? Like, bitch, if I knew, I wouldn't be fucking asking you. And there's a fine line with therapy. Like, it's supposed to be a self-discovery journey, but sometimes you need someone to advise you, right? So you don't have to pay for these lessons through your own experiences.
I've evolved so much. I went from like, really, what is the point when you can work it out yourself or you can figure out your problem, to like, yo, it's good to have somebody not only to bounce things off of, but to have them say things like, oh, maybe you should think about it this way.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is what this means. Like, that's the valuable part that I didn't realize. So I've evolved into it, and I'm not only open to it, like actively kind of looking, but it's kind of weird because I want to get away from like biasness. So it's like, do I want a Black male? I don't think that I do, because I think he may relate to me too well. And I don't know if I need that. I talk to Black men all the time. We have a lot of the same experiences. We have a lot of the same biases. I don't know if I want that.
Okay, that's fair.
Do I want a Black woman? I don't know because, maybe she thinks like, oh yeah, this is all, perfectly fine. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what her perspective. I almost feel like I just want like, somebody just completely different culture,
Okay.
completely different experiences, and that I can kind of bounce stuff off of and see what they say from an unbiased point of
Let
view.
me know how that works out for you. Like if what I don't have time for is someone asking me in my therapy session. So why do you wash chicken? And the see your face.
That just
Why
reminded
was that
me.
an argument with your wife's family? Right? It's like I don't have the time.
Look, this is probably why initially I was scarred from therapy initially.
Okay, tell
Rachel
me.
and I went to a marriage counselor one time.
Uh-huh.
We went in there initially. We was like, hey, we want to get some therapy. She's all right. Let's sign some papers. You got money, right? Like, yeah, we got, money for you, sure. And we sit down. As soon as she sit down, she like looks at the clock, and she's like, so, tell me about yourself. And I'm like, very simple question. We've been dating for this long. We got this stuff going on, and then I'll stop, and then it's like 10 seconds of like just silence. Then she like looks up at the clock again. It comes back.
I'm so sorry.
And then she's like, oh, yeah, maybe you guys can fill out this questionnaire. And I'm like,
Why wouldn't you give that
what
to
am I
us?
here for?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, is this therapy?
No.
Because I could do this myself. For
I could Google this.
I could Google this.
My
So,
YouTube subscription would have taken care of it.
right underneath the lions and the hyenas.
Yep. Suggested videos.
Yeah.
Oh my
so
gosh.
we went through that, and I was like, yo, if this is therapy, this is super trash. And she stopped at like 45 minutes, like on the dot.
That's trash. No, I'm so sorry that was your experience. But there's some amazing therapists in Atlanta I can recommend if you're open.
I am open.
Okay, cool.
And I need that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be great. Last question for you. How has your journey through entrepreneurship impacted how you move and operate as a father?
It makes me a little bit more open to lessons kind of for the kids. So Taj is 5 now, and I'm looking like, okay, what things can I start to introduce him to that will allow him to have the option to be an entrepreneur if he likes? Because I'm not pushing one lifestyle or another on these kids. Whatever they gravitate to, I'm just going to
So
support them.
if they don't want to do
in
college or if they want alternative.
I personally do not care. Like,
Okay,
if you want to
that's
go to
awesome.
college, we can figure out a way for you to go to college, and then we can tell you what to major in. We can walk you through that.
Yeah.
And if you want to be like an entrepreneur, now I can help you with that a little
Yeah.
bit because I have a lot more information,
Experience.
and you can go either way.
Yeah.
Like, before you can only go one way. That's college because
One path, that's it.
that was the only thing that I knew.
One ticket. That's it.
But as I'm developing more, I'm looking at things like, okay, what things can I start the 5-year-old Taj on right now? Maybe a little money. So, hey, this is $2. Here's $2. You put $1 away, you spend another $1 on candy. Very simple things that I can build upon and kind of as he gets older.
I love that.
And also including him, I do this now, including him just kind of in some decisions that I'm
Okay.
making. So,
Give me an example. Yeah.
so, hey, Taj, do you think that this Create Dope Human Shine should be this big on the shirt, or do you think it should be this big on the shirt? Or do you think that we should have this soft shirt here or this one? You see, it's a little rougher. What do you think people will like? He's like, I think people will like that one. And giving him those decision-making powers
Yeah.
and evolving that over time. Now, when he gets to be 10 or 12 or whatever the case, and maybe he wants to sell candy
Yeah.
or sell T-shirts or whatever the
Yeah.
case, but maybe he wants to do that. It's not as foreign as it was to me.
His learning curve is not as steep.
It's not as steep, and that's really the whole thing. Introducing them to things just a little bit earlier. You do what you want with it. Like, it's not my decision. Ultimately, it's your decision. But I'm going to gauge what you can do, what your options are, and I'm going to guide you toward that, and I'm going to just give you the tools to do that stuff. So just early exposure to the things that I feel like I got late exposure to.
Okay. I love that. Okay, I said last question, but I have one more.
Last.
What are the misconceptions about Black fatherhood that you feel are in the space today?
I think the hardness of men and Black fathers that people think. I think that there was a place for that, But I think that kind of we've evolved so quickly, so fast,
Yeah.
that may not be as big of a stereotype as it once was. So, even all of my friends, I mean, my friends, we get very vulnerable when we talk. We compare information. We say, hey, this is what happened with my kid, what happened to your kid. How you feeling about this? Your daughter's dating, what do you think about that? And opening up those conversations and those communication lines to say, hey, I don't know everything, but I'm just going to say this stuff out loud. And
Yeah.
if you guys can help, that's great that you can help on that. So being able to identify that type of information and identify like the friends that you have around you and say, hey, maybe we should just kind of, talk about this. I think that's something that's evolved very quickly. You don't have the guys that are just kind of like, oh yeah, I don't need to talk about anything. Like we know
It's
that we need
soft.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, we know that what we need to talk about. We know that we need to talk about something, and we are doing that type
Yeah.
of stuff. But also, contrary, what I don't like is when people try to take away that hardiness, because that is us. Like that's a part of us, and I don't think that
That protective nature,
the
all of those
protective
things.
nature, the like that straightforwardness,
The sternness.
the
Yeah.
sternness, the somebody I posted a video of Taj, and he's like a super sore loser, and he lost at a game and he was crying. And I said, stop crying. You don't need to cry. And then instantly flooded with messages and comments saying, oh, well, why can't he cry?
Yeah, that goes against the gentle parenting.
It goes
movement.
against that. It's like, oh, boys can cry. And this is coming from a lot of women saying that. And women should say that, and they should interject their opinions, because that is your perspective, and that's what you feel. You feel like, boys can cry, which they can. But my perspective is he can cry, and I'm trying to show him how to manage his
The emotion,
emotions.
yeah.
Like, yeah, you lost at this game. Do you think that, you should cry on that, or should you figure out another way?
Like how to handle it.
Should you express it differently? Like, why did you choose crying to express it?
Okay.
Versus why didn't you, get upset and try to play it again?
Yeah.
So do you
Alternatives, yeah.
Do you need to cry over this? If you do, yeah, fine. But me being who I am, I'm okay with presenting that and saying, hey, son, maybe you can, instead of crying, because that may distract you from what you really want to do. If you're upset about losing,
It may not be productive all the time. Sometimes it could be releasing.
It can.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not productive.
and that's what I'm saying. And,
Yeah.
And there's some people that try to take that away or try to guilt that out of the men.
Yes.
And that's not going anywhere for any man. Like we're gonna, there's all these conversations about like what a man is, and what you should teach, and masculinity and what's not masculine, and a lot of these are coming from women, and it should come from them, and they should have these opinions. But that's why you need
The balance
men
of
to
both.
balance it out.
Yes.
Because yes, just like you mentioned, the little box thing that you said,
Yeah.
that you said earlier, like you need those discussions, you need those arguments,
Yeah.
but you need to know how to argue.
Yeah.
You need to know how to have those discussions.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I like to get across to people. Like the disagreements, they're going to come. Like Rachel and I disagree all the time. It's just how you work through those disagreements. Your information is not wrong.
Yeah.
It is your perspective, and it needs to be respected. My stuff is not wrong. It needs to be respected as well.
Yeah.
And we need to meet in the middle
Yeah.
when it comes to that situation.
Yeah.
So I think we're evolving with that, and I think that people are understanding that we're men, and this is how we define
Yeah.
being a man. You may define it differently, and you can do that.
Yeah.
But this is how we define it, and we think that there's a certain amount of emotions that you have to manage to be able to kind of manage your family and get that maybe respect from your family.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't need to cry. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
But it's up to me to tell you to say, hey, what's the outcome of this? What does this get you? What does this get you? Keep that in mind.
To
and then
consider
you
it.
make
Yeah.
And then you make the decision. So
Okay.
those are the stereotypes that I think that we're evolving on.
Yeah. Considering your answer there, right, in terms of like strengths and what each party, in terms of parents provide, what's the most valuable thing that Rachel, as your spouse, contributes to this like happy ecosystem that you guys are building?
Well, that's a loaded question, but
Rachel, I got your back.
But it is just creating the environment of like open dialogue. And that's a very high level concept. But, Rachel is 100% okay with saying, I think this. And she's okay with that because I've created the environment of that being okay.
And respected,
Like
yeah.
you say what you think, and I'm not going to say that that's stupid. I'm not going to say that that's dumb. Now I can say that's not what I would do, and I can say I think that we should do that. But knowing that every disagreement isn't like it's not a butting of the heads. Like it's not a
It don't have to be a fight.
it's
Yeah.
not a fight. It's like trying to find that common ground and see where we can go forward. So giving each other that room to kind of grow and that room to express your opinions, that's like incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Both ways, because even in the book, like we talk about that. During the pregnancy process, women's mind is just turns. It's just
Yeah.
different.
The hormones are taking over.
It's different, and they are a different person because they are making a whole person. So everything is warranted, and you need to figure out how to manage that and how to deal with that. And you need to say things a certain way, and you need to allow her to say things a certain way, maybe differently than
Yeah.
how she said it before. And you need to create that environment of that. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I know you just, maybe you're upset or irritated because of X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to jump it down your throat at that because, I know kind of what position that you're in.
I know my breathing is annoying you.
And, and we're gonna talk about that. I'm going to try to correct it, but also, these open communication lines. Yes, you are the pregnant one. Yes, you have these hormones that I have no feeling about.
Yeah.
But since these communications are open, maybe I can say to you, hey, I don't know how you're feeling, but this seems to be a little overdone
Yeah.
to me. You may be a little bit more rude
Yeah.
than you probably should.
Meant to be, yeah.
And that's okay. And it sounds weird, but I think it's okay because it's warranted. Like,
Yeah.
you got a whole baby in you. Your body is changing, your mind is changing. It's the merging of the things that I was talking about the other day. So you are allowed to be happy one second,
Yeah.
not happy the next second.
Yep.
You're allowed to do all this, but I'm also allowed to say, hey, what do you think that this is kind of, overdoing it? Because this is how it's making me feel. And that's what I kind of stress in the book from a men's perspective, because I
Yeah.
think we suppress that.
Yeah.
And we suppress it for the sake of the sanity of
The peace in the house,
the
yep.
women that are carrying our babies. But if you open up those communication lines, and if you have two people that are just very committed to the well-being of each other in any environment, any situation, any process, like you can get through those processes. So I'll give you a very quick example. Rachel got to a point where, I was doing everything. I was doing everything, run in here, I'll do this, pick this up. And from a human standpoint, you can get very comfortable doing that. Like, hey, can you throw that away? Can you do this? Very comfortable doing it because it's just human nature. 8 months of doing something over and over again.
It develops a habit.
It develops a habit.
Yeah.
And, Rachel walked past this bottle.
This what?
It was a bottle. It was like
A
an
bottle,
empty
yeah.
bottle. And she was like, can you throw this away? And I was like, the bottle that you just looked at, that was within arm's reach of you, and you walked past the garbage can. Now, I don't mind doing this, but I just want to point out, like, don't you think that you could have done that? And if you're being honest with yourself, is that something that you really needed me for at that moment?
Yeah.
And I just want to just give you that feedback. Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay with doing it, but, there's an opportunity for you to kind of respect me too, and you doing the things that you can do, and then you allow me to do the things that you can't do, or the things that you need help with.
Yeah.
And it takes a little while to develop that, and a lot of maturity.
100%.
A lot of maturity to develop that mindset. But it's things like that that are in the book that I don't think people necessarily talk about openly. And we had a discussion about that. Like, we got 9 months of me doing stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You're in the habit now. Now the kid comes, and now I'm taking on, more things because you just went through, pregnancy, you just went through birth. I'm taking on all of these things. And now those things need to happen, but there's still repercussions of these things. Like there's still, that still makes me feel a type of way.
Yeah.
It still affects like my day to day. And that's what gets overshadowed because it's like, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. The least you could do is everything else.
Yikes.
Which, I mean, I'm not against it. I'm honestly not against it.
But there's balances to a point, right?
There are balances to a point, but it's just how is that outcome how is that reason just affecting this? If I'm taking on, all these responsibilities and everything costs something.
Yeah.
So something is going to have to get sacrificed. What is getting sacrificed? And that's what you should ask your spouse.
I love that.
What is getting sacrificed by me doing this, and this? Are there some areas that you can manage yourself to take off of me?
Yeah.
Like I said, I know you're pregnant. I know all of this, but that's why it takes a very mature mindset to be able to think about that. What are those things that you can do yourself, and what are the things that I can do for you, and how can we create that balance so that I'm not exploding off a ledge because I feel overworked and underappreciated, or you feel overworked and underappreciated. Let's bring those together and balance that out.
Yeah.
Have a mature conversation.
I love that. When does the book come out?
The book comes out April 17th.
And it's available for pre-sale right now on Amazon, but where else?
Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, everywhere that you can sell a book, it is right there.
Awesome. And then drop your handles so that people know where to follow you and support you and watch your content.
Oh, if you're into this fatherhood platform that we have, it's called Dad Vlog on Instagram. So DAD _vlog and the Dad Vlog on TikTok and YouTube. So we do a lot of fun stuff there. If it's your vibe, it is absolutely your vibe.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate you. Thank you for making the time. And we're looking forward to catching up with you after the book launch and seeing how they went.
I'm catching up with you Sunday. I don't know if you know, but we got a babysitter and we got everything.
I know. Did you know?
Hey, this is great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.